All right, all right. Good morning, Daily Rip crew. I think we got a little echo, some sort, but hope everybody's having a great morning. We got some stuff moving this morning with NFP data coming out, unemployment data coming out. NFP came in, actual data came in at 227,000. The forecast was 220K there, so higher than expected on NFP print. Unemployment came in at 4.2%. The forecast there was 4.1, so little slightly higher, but pretty much in line there for the most part. We've really been waiting for this data all week. This is definitely the biggest data point for the market this week, so I'm excited. We're going to be getting some NFP levels for December off of this data print, so I'm super excited with that. Getting some volatility with things right now, but overall, I mean, still overall pretty flat with SPY, Qs, and Rusty there on IWM. So things looking good, getting some volatility, but overall still flat. We got Bitcoin as well. Had a nasty sell yesterday. That was crazy. We were holding above 100K, looking good. Everything looked very healthy to me personally, and then got that nasty sell all the way back down to 90, 91, 92 area there yesterday. So we are sitting back right at 99. Looks like we want to go back and test that 100K again, and it's kind of just back and forth in this area. And to me, it's healthy consolidation when you look at this daily chart. We're holding all these EMAs, right? We're holding everything we need to. And if this was truly bearish, in my opinion, I would look for that strong rejection and follow through, right? And we're not seeing that every time. Even if we try and reject, they hold it up, right? Things are holding healthy. So I think that's something worth noting. I'm still very bullish on Bitcoin. I know that drop may have scared a lot of people yesterday, but overall, I think everything's fine, and we should see higher. But joining me this morning, Aaron and Zunaid, how you boys doing this morning?
I'm good, Jordan. How you doing this morning? We got a busy morning, like you mentioned, the non-farm payrolls, some economic data to talk about, Bitcoin, 100K, little resistance level. So we got a lot to talk about this morning. I'm excited.
Absolutely, yeah. Zunaid, how we doing, my man?
I'm good, man. Like Aaron knows this, but like for me, whenever these numbers come out, whether it's CPI, PPI, STDs, like it generally, to me, right? I'm someone who likes to take a short-term type of look at it, man. And it's always interesting because like sometimes you'll see numbers and they'll move, right? Especially if Powell comes on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. But other than that, man, I'm just looking at the charts, seeing what I like, seeing what we can pick off here in the morning. First 5 minutes, first 15 minutes, maybe try to get some options, especially because it is Friday. So, of course, our degenerates inside, we want to get some action in. So, no, we'll see what we find on the charts, man. But happy to be here.
Yeah, 100%. I do think, obviously, market has been moving up, and we've been making all-time highs, but obviously if you've been trading intraday, things have been on the tougher side for sure, with volatility being as low as it is. So I think this Friday is a good, hopefully, catalyst with the data coming out for some nice movement, hopefully some trendy price action. But of course, we just got to take what the market gives us and see what we got. But let's hop on over to the daily rip and take a look at what stocks were doing yesterday. Obviously, this is a heat map from yesterday. Pretty mixed up. I mean, we got some green, we got some red. Things are back and forth. Obviously, tech yesterday was a lot more red than we've been seeing. So something worth noting there. Maybe we're seeing a little bit of turnaround going into the end of the year. Like I said, I think things stay fairly quiet. But how you guys feeling about these sectors? Everything going around?
I mean, look, right now you had a little phase where the Mag 7 was actually not the top performing, sector for like the past month or so. And, that's not what we've been used to. We've been used to NVIDIA, Microsoft, Apple being, putting the team on their back and carrying the whole market. And then we saw IWM and some small caps starting to kind of heat up when the market, started making new all-time highs, which I thought was a great sign to see. And of course, after the election, like you look at certain sectors that were performing really well. But now it's a little bit more, just broad-based, and everything's kind of, like inching higher, which I think is a very, it's like a very healthy market move when you don't have just the top 7 stocks making those new all-time highs. Of course, selfishly for my own portfolio, love to see, Microsoft, Apple, NVIDIA, all those stocks in the green. I know when I see that heat map, I don't even have to check my portfolio that it's going to be up.
You're doing good, yeah.
Yeah, Jordan, I wanted to go back to Bitcoin real quick because, of course, touched that 100,000 level the other day. You're a Bitcoin holder, right, Jordan?
I actually don't hold the actual crypto itself, but I am exposed to it through 2 times leverage ETFs and stuff like that.
He's lying to you. He just doesn't want to get robbed, is what it is, I'm sure.
I gotta see more before I get really comfortable with the crypto scene. You probably don't expect that coming from a 22-year-old.
You want to see more than a break of 100,000 and all the mania and the president saying he's pro crypto? What more do you want?
For me right now, it still feels like it's all about people getting their Lambos, to be honest. I mean, especially seeing that sell yesterday, I was like, wow. It's like, it's just, to me, it's like, is this really about changing the financial system? Or are people just trying to get their Lambos and leave? And it still kind of feels like people are trying to get their Lambos and leave. I don't know. But, I'm exposed a little bit, just not with the crypto. But no, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, finish your thought, Aaron. My bad.
No, it's just Bitcoin, like, right now, you hit that $100,000 level. It was like the moment everyone was waiting for, and then it just sells off. And I feel like you just have such thick sell orders right there around 99,000 to 100 that, like, if I was going to buy more Bitcoin, I don't want to buy it at 100. I don't want to buy it at 105. I want to wait till it gets to, like, 110. Give me that confirmation that we're finally past that $100,000 level. And then I'd be a little bit more comfortable buying up there. But yeah, Zunaid, if you're holding Bitcoin, let me know if you had a wallet, like what would the digits be? What would the 14 digits for your crypto wallet be? Let me know in the private chat.
Yeah, I got you. Just know that I'm staying at a Hilton and not the Four Seasons, so it's not as granular as I would like. I didn't even
so you got about 0.0. You got about 0.005 Bitcoin in your wallet, not a few Bitcoin. Okay.
Yeah. No one's coming to rob me. Let's just say that.
Oh my gosh, you guys are funny. Well, moving on to some of the airline stocks getting some volume over the past few days. American Airlines got an upgrade, looking good. Things have shot up pretty good there. I know Spirit's been moving as well. Some other airlines, so heating up a little bit there. Any thoughts from you, Zunaid, with the airlines?
Oh, you know what's funny? I guess it was like a congressional hearing. I think it was the Spirit's executive getting grilled.
I saw that yesterday.
Yeah. Apparently, whenever you get told to check in a bag because it doesn't fit properly or whatever, the Spirit employee gets a cut. I didn't realize I was in a sales world in terms of like car salesman when it came to the flight attendant or the person at the gate trying to check in a bag or whatever. But it makes sense why they wanted to make me check in my bag. So it was just interesting to kind of hear that. But man, in general, in the airlines, I had a buddy of mine that hit me up actually last week. He's like, hey, I've got Southwest Airlines. What do I do? And I just looked at the chart and I was like, look, if it dips below this level, I think it was like maybe 31.50, go ahead and get out. But otherwise, I think you can go ahead and, have better opportunities elsewhere, whether you want to go ahead and try to play the Santa rally, quote unquote, for the year end, whether you want to try to play the January effects for some of the small caps that might be beaten down to get things going. So airlines, boring, don't care in terms of investments. I think there are better opportunities out there. But of course, if someone likes slow moving stocks and not as much volatility, yeah, I think it's a perfectly fine place to be.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not a big airline trader, but always nice to see when they get volume and keep an eye on them. If you guys saw this yesterday, Roaring Kitty making a little bit of a comeback. He just posted this photo. I don't think there was anything tied to it, just this photo, as he does. He always loves to do that and keep the mystery going. But GME, right at that moment, he tweeted this, and GME AMC started ripping to the upside. I was actually in NQ shorts at the time. Market wasn't really moving. Roaring Kitty comes out, tweets that. GME rips. The market just tanks. I was very happy for my position, but it was just wild. I was literally waiting, all day for an actual opportunity, and I entered the position. He tweets that, and that brought the volume for the market, for GME, for AMC. It was wild. So very, very interesting there. What's your thoughts with Roaring Kitty, Zunaid? This stuff's interesting, man.
It's fascinating, the world that we live in, to where one tweet, one post can go ahead and not just move a stock. We've seen that in the past, but can move the market as well based on what we dealt with in 2020 and 2021. It's fascinating. I just want to know, does this guy see a therapist just to be like, I have so much power, I need to just kind of keep myself a little bit humble, because just one tweet with no real direction, right? I mean, people, I'm sure, on Reddit are trying to decipher what these clues are. Like, hey, what does Time Magazine mean? What is this? What is a Mac? Is it Apple? What is he getting into? Yada, yada, yada. It's amazing to see the theories that are out there, but In terms of like, I think this type of volatility is good for folks that are trying to swing trade. If you remember, just maybe it was earlier this year where he went ahead and came back and had that video game gif of leaning forward as in it's game time, and you saw not just the GME, not just AMC, but other meme stocks go to move up. It gave us great volatility to go ahead and get some calls to test out the charts. But also in the crypto world, you had coins called Kitty that were going to the moon as well. So I think love him, hate him, he brings volatility, and that's what we want as traders. And so I always think it as a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And volatility is opportunity, right? If there's volatility in the market, there's going to be opportunity somewhere. So good stuff there. Yesterday afternoon, President-elect Donald Trump celebrated Bitcoin's latest milestone, taking credit for it in the process. He said, "Congratulations, Bitcoiners, 100K, you're welcome. Together, we will make America great again." I thought that was hilarious. I was at the Bitcoin conference with the whole Wolf team, as a lot of you know, and we watched him speak live, and it was basically, he's sitting there saying, the crypto community's all here, guys, like let's form up and do this and get crypto to where you all want it. That was basically his speech, right? He was trying to gather everybody up, get everybody super hyped about it, and here we are, So very cool to see. Obviously, we're still not really clearing it, like we talked. I mean, we're kind of just choppy around that 100K at the moment, but again, I do think this is nothing to worry about, and things are going to keep going off to the races. We just got to get through this period of like just back and forth where people are kind of just unsure at this moment, I think, and until we get that breakthrough, I think Aaron was saying, like that 110 area, get that real confirmation of being over this whole area, it's going to be a little uncertain until then. So
Trump is a great marketer, a great PR team, to where the stock market, let's just say, it reaches all-time highs in February. The tweet will be, "Under my presidency, the stock market is at all-time highs already." Great. Well, yeah, that's kind of how the math works, right? Where this, though, however, yes, crypto is absolutely headed to where it's going because of him. I think he had an appointment of David the other day. He went ahead and talked about. So I think amazing things are happening in the crypto world, and he fully deserves credit for that. So that I'll give to him. But no matter what happens, he's going to find a great way to spin it. And if things are going well, it's because of him. If they aren't, it was never his fault. It was what the Biden administration passed on to him.
Aaron, I know you cut out for a minute and you're back, but did you have any thoughts about this tweet from Trump yesterday? I thought it was really funny seeing that.
Yeah, I mean, look, like people had reason to, but I was joking about this the other day with my buddies. I was like, imagine if Bitcoin tops here for like a couple years, and that it ends up being that the all-time high was made while Biden and Harris were still in the White House. That it'd be funny if the Dems were then being like, "Oh, all the people that voted for Trump because of crypto, look, it hit 100,000 while we were in charge, and now it can't when Trump is." So it'll be funny to see what happens. But look, he found a new base of crypto people, leaned into it, and it seemed to work out for him, and it seems to be working out for them. So can't knock it right now.
Yeah, 100%.
Real quick, before we move on, I want to talk about Michael Saylor and what they're doing with MSTR as well, right? Having convertible bonds back, buying Bitcoin and then selling equity, buying Bitcoin as well. I'm just very curious, when these bonds are close to expiration, what ends up happening when the music stops, right? He did an interview with Sam Parr, and Sam Parr asked him earlier this year, saying, "Hey, what's the downside?" And, Saylor said, "There is no downside. There's always a downside. There's always that black swan event that we never saw coming, right? 2020 was unfortunately COVID." So I'm curious also as to, he's buying Bitcoin. He's never going to sell. So obviously he's taken up as much demand as he possibly can. I think he might own, please fact check me, almost, getting up to that percent aspect of Bitcoin circulation supply there. So it's like, what happens when he is forced to sell? But for some reason, Bitcoin's currency, the value of it goes down, and he's got to go ahead and pay back and sell some stock or whatever the case may be, sell some Bitcoin, and he floods the supply a little bit. So that's something to keep an eye on. Don't know what that number is, don't know what that stock number is, but like MSTR is for me a way to go ahead and play Bitcoin as well if you didn't want to get involved in Bitcoin itself.
Absolutely agree. Yeah, me and Shai have talked about MSTR and even using Coinbase as a vehicle, right? I've used Coinbase a lot as a vehicle to capture the crypto moves as well. And but like you're saying, it's interesting what Saylor's doing, and like you say, there's always a downside aspect to things, right? Because what if, right? There's always that what if aspect, and that's important to keep an eye on. Moving on to some of the noteworthy pops and drops we had from this morning and last night. Vivo Power down 6%. SoundHound up 36%. That was really good. The voice and conversational artificial intelligence solutions provider announced that fast casual taco chain Torchy's Tacos has begun to roll out its advanced voice AI smart ordering product at all 130 of its locations. Interesting. I guess that's super bullish for SoundHound, 36%. That's great to see there. We got variant system. What's
Jordan,
up?
anytime you have a company that's publicly traded that partners with Torchy's Tacos, you expect at least a 30% move, if not more. So I'm surprised we're not.
I guess I gotta try Torchy's Tacos. I don't know
where it
tried
is.
this place.
I've never heard of one, but I do know. This goes way back to like the Peter Lynch investing day. If anyone ever partners with Torchy's Tacos, going back to like the 1800s, does really well in the stock market. So we'll keep that in mind to see if we see Target or I see Ulta Beauty on this list. If Ulta Beauty makes a deal with Torchy's Tacos, then I'm buying calls for sure.
I'm buying calls. Well, yeah, shout out Ulta and Lulu, actually. They did good last night. I haven't checked on them this morning, but I'm a long-term holder of both of those. Not a whole lot, but I definitely got a little bit in there. So it's nice to see the earnings doing pretty well there. What's up, Zunaid?
I was going to say, I've got no opinion in terms of the stock with Torchy's and stuff like that, but I've had Torchy's. They're very popular in Texas. One tip I will give you is if you're having date night, don't have Torchy's. That and Indian food, you can't perform, don't do it. You know what I mean? Stay away.
Not good.
That's all I got for you. That's all I got for you.
Good tips.
Speaking of date night, if when I've been Zunaid, come on now. When I've been lucky enough, and this only happens maybe like once every couple years, but when I've been lucky enough to go on a date, one thing I ask them is like where they're shopping and stuff, because you look at Lululemon, you look at Ulta Beauty. I think that's actually like a very sound investment strategy. You ask, again, if you're lucky enough to have any females in your life, you talk to them, you ask them, where are you spending your money now? And a lot of them, will tell you things like, oh, I used to go to Aritzia all the time, but now I'm shopping at, XYZ. And you're like, okay, like that's good to know that like people aren't shopping here as much anymore. And I was actually just at the mall last night. Lululemon was pretty packed, I do gotta say, but there was a Viore and an Aloe in the mall as well. And those are, kind of some competitors coming in. I don't really get, like, I went into Aloe and Viore and they were basically, it's like, okay, here's Lululemon, actually a little bit more expensive. So I'm like, who's coming here instead of Lululemon? But either way, the competition in there scared me a little bit for Lulu. Still love it long term.
Yeah,
I
full-heartedly agree, though.
Jordan. That's the type of boots on the ground DD you get from Aaron Bree, and I love that. It's like, you know what? Matched with somebody on Bumble, forget what your favorite spot is. Your pictures look great, but do you shop at Lululemon? What's it looking like? Where do you get your makeup?
100%.
Those are all my prompts. All my prompts. Yeah.
I will say I have made a few investments that way, and let me tell you, it's not a bad idea to keep up to date with what your girlfriend or what your female friends might be.
Got 10 girlfriends over here.
No. No, it's smart to keep an eye on where they're shopping for sure. I will say it's not a bad idea to keep up to date with what's going on there. But yeah, lots of movers. Obviously, Lululemon up 9%, Ulta Beauty up 12%. Love to see that. Uber got smacked yesterday, down 9%. The ride-sharing companies, Uber and Lyft, took a hit today after self-driving taxi company Waymo expanded its operations to Miami. I think, Waymo, Uber, all of it's. I sold Uber for a reason. I don't particularly, look at Waymo or care about it just because I have Tesla, right? And Tesla for me overtakes both of those. So very interesting to see. But what's up?
Have either of y'all taken one of those, driverless taxis yet?
No, I have not.
No,
I have not.
That could be we should make a video of that where we all get in the back of a driverless taxi, and or we go somewhere, we pick like a destination A and B and do a little race where like Zunaid orders a Lyft, I'll order an Uber. Jordan, you get in the Waymo. I don't trust the driverless taxis yet, but Jordan,
I'll do the Waymo. I'll take it for the team. Yeah,
I'll be the guinea pig in the Waymo, and we'll see who gets there first.
100%. Let's move on to Zunaid. I know you're big in the sports betting. I wanted to move on to talking about some of your picks and some of the things you're looking at in the sports betting market right now, because I'm not very familiar with that market and everything going on, but I know you are. So Wanna see what you're looking at for sure.
Yeah, man. So like I'm doing this fun little project here, right? So right now I am in Chattanooga, Tennessee, because sports betting is legal here. So I say, you know what? Why don't I start with a bankroll of $10,000 and see if I can go ahead and build it up? I don't really have any expectations of where I'm going to take it, but I'll talk about how I select my bets. And just an update: last night I had 10 bets. I went a spectacular 5 for 5. I lost $7, but there's a big bet that I placed, which we'll show a screenshot of later on. But what I try to do is I try to find price inefficiencies, the same way that we try to look at the stock market and say, hey, based on the fundamentals, based on these multiples, the price should be this, but it's trading a little bit lower, so therefore I believe it is a value buy. That's what I'm kind of basing it off of. But you can see I literally, got here, deposited all, a couple grand into BetMGM, DraftKings, FanDuel. So I will use many different sportsbook, because in the stock market, right? If you're trying to trade Apple, it doesn't matter if you're trading it on E-Trade, if you're using Trade Zero, if you're using Moomoo, it doesn't matter which broker you're trying to trade the stock or the option with, the price is the exact same. It doesn't matter. However, in the sports betting world, that same exact team with the same exact spread, the player props, that same exact outcome that needs to happen can be priced differently. Someone could be giving you, $1.10 for every dollar that you risk, or someone could be charging you $1.10 to win $1. So I'll show you guys screenshots of exactly what I'm talking about. But that's a fun little project that I'm working on. You guys can follow us on Twitter, and I'll this is all public too, in the sense of like any bet that I take will be placed there, win or lose. It doesn't matter. This is a fun project for me. But I want to give an example of showing the screenshots of the bets, where we kind of talk about what I mean in terms of price and efficiencies. Yesterday, we talked about, hey, what are we taking in our prep call? And I mentioned I'm taking Green Bay plus 3.5. Now, FanDuel, you can see with the arrows there, FanDuel had the line, if you look at the right-hand side, they had it at minus 120. I'm a nerd out here, so bear with me, though. Minus 120 means, hey, I got to pay $120. I got to risk $120 to profit $100, right? And as you can see on the bottom, I went ahead and risked $60, and I won the bet because Green Bay only went ahead and lost by 3 points. I had the 3.5. You add 3.5 points to the final score, Green Bay would have won, so I won that bet. Now, that's me winning $50 by risking 60. If you go ahead and go down to the screenshot below, you'll see that same exact bet of Green Bay plus 3.5, I got at even money. That means I only had to risk $50 to win $50. Now, people may be saying, okay, well, you won the bet and you won $50 anyway. Who really cares? What matters is if I lost that bet, that $50 with this other book that I had, I would have only lost $50. Where with FanDuel, I would have lost $60. Same exact outcome, same exact everything, but now I just paid 20% more in losses because I got a shittier line. And that's what I try to do, is try to find out, okay, what are the sharp books doing, such as your Pinnacles, your Circa. The line is supposed to be at, say, $1.10, but this book is giving it me for $1.20. Cool, that's 10 cents in my favor. That's where I'm going to go. So, like, I don't try to predict what's going to happen. I don't try to predict what's going to happen in the future. I just try to get the best price possible and just let those pennies, kind of accumulate and try to find those advantages. So that's what the project is based on. And yesterday, obviously, you can see I was very confident. We won $1,000. I was very happy with that, and very stressful as well, as I was eating some Thai food in my hotel room. But yeah, man, just trying to find those price inefficiencies. There's so many of them out there. What's up?
Zunaid, you go out on this mission to make a living sports betting. You tell me, look, Aaron, I've got a $10,000 bankroll. I'm making $50 bets. I'm like, all right, okay, Zunaid, this sounds, any reasonable man would do this, right? $50 bets, whatever. The first day you're going up to 1,000?
Well, so here's the thing. The $50 bet is just to have a little bit of fun and see, hey, can I go ahead and do this, period. That $1,000 bet is something I was confident in. It's just like, this is what I'm comfortable betting myself. But the $50 per bet is just a project to see, hey, can the average John and Jane Doe, if they wanted to, because I looked it up, I Googled what's the average bet on DraftKings, and it was around $50, which is why I chose that. So it's just a matter of, hey, can we do it? Can we find enough inefficiencies in the markets and repeat them and get $5 every single bet and try to build up the bankroll? We'll see. I don't know. But anyway, I'm glad that hit. Of course, as we continue to do this, we'll have more of these projects. But hopefully that made sense. I know we kind of nerded out a little bit, but it's just about finding those edges, just like we do in the financial markets as well, because prices are not the same as you go with all these different sports books.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Just for me, on someone who's like uneducated on the sports betting, right? I didn't really grasp that, and that makes sense. Now I realize why like everybody's transitioning different sports books. Oh, I want to get this one. I need to download this app and go see what they have, right? It makes sense because you're trying to find the best price possible and find your edge the same way you would in a
Exactly.
financial market, and that's all it is, right? Whether you're playing poker, whether you're trading stocks, whether you're really no matter what it is, it's do you have an edge, right? And if you have an
Yeah.
edge here, you play it. If you don't, it's hands off,
Yeah,
right?
and
So
so many times, like whenever you're watching poker videos, they'll say, "Oh, like the odds were in my favor." They're talking about making plus EV plays, and that's what we're trying to do here as well. Is can we go ahead and find plays that are going to be in our favor if the things go right or if it goes wrong? Can we get paid more and or we lose less? And those things really genuinely do add up, and that's how I've been able to kind of make money on it. Is just finding better value, better prices, and so far it's worked, and we'll see if it works as we kind of build this out in the public domain as well.
no, I think that's good stuff, and I love that you're sharing it as well. Make sure if you're in the audience, and you want to keep up to date with this, make sure you're following Zunaid on your Twitter. Zunaid, feel free to shout that out.
Yeah,
But yeah.
it's simple. It's just made X in X India because I was genuinely, literally, physically made in India, raised in America. But I'm excited, man. I think as we continue to do these kind of things, we'll kind of have maybe like a pick of the day where we go ahead and track whatever picks we give out and some fun stuff ahead. But I just kind of want to explain what the project was, what folks can expect for you here on out in terms of that, and how we pick our picks and why we pick them and the rationale behind it.
Yeah, really good stuff there. I know we got
Not financial advice, but it's not. It
Not even
hasn't
a little bit.
No,
Yeah,
no, I was gonna
thank
say
you.
it hasn't been great strategy to bet against the Lions this year, but you did, Zunaid, and it worked for you. But over,
got it.
over this,
And it
over
goes-
this year, if you've been betting against the Lions, you're probably down a little bit.
I'm glad you said that because in the options world we have what's called IV because it's an expected move because there's so much hype around it and the impact happens on the options price. What you just said, the public knows that hey, the lines have been dominated, so the sports book will kind of make it a little bit juicier and a little bit tougher to bet on the Lions
It's the
because they know
IV
that
on the
hey,
sports betting.
it's the IB on the sports betting, baby. And again,
That's
what do
funny.
people like me that want to be smart people, pretend to be smart people, will try to take the other side. We'll try to find some value and pick it off. And when we get it right, we'll pretend like we're the baddest dudes on the block. When we get it wrong, we'll just turn our cameras off. That's all it is.
Stay quiet, right?
Yeah, that's it.
No, super good stuff. God, maybe I need to dip a little into the sports betting market. Have some fun with you guys.
I got you.
I've
Just
not done
Bitcoin me $5,000 and I'll
All right.
I'll get you 10 grand. Don't worry about it. But look, I know
Oh.
you guys got some more stuff to talk about as well. I'm gonna
No
go ahead
worries.
and hop. Appreciate you for inviting me, Aaron, buddy. Good to see you once again. I'm excited, man. A lot more stuff to come, and of course, in the chat, we appreciate you for being here. I'm gonna bounce. I know you two got a lot more content, but I'll catch you guys later.
Sounds good, Zunaid. Have a great one, brother. Appreciate you hopping
you, man.
on.
See
What
you,
we got?
Zunaid. We'll talk
Got
soon.
this
Bye, pal.
market opening up in about 45 seconds or so. We're going to see what the market has to offer. We're going to hop over to ChartArt as well, take a look at some setups. We got SPY, potential reversal, right? Okay, I'm obviously not very bearish on this market at all. I've been riding this trend all the way up this whole year. But with that said, obviously coming into the end of the year, new president in office, right? I do think things are a little quieter into the end of the year. Like I've said, we're still making all-time highs, but volatility is low. And with this NFP print coming in, oh, there's the bell. Let's go. There's the bell. So we're open.
They opened the market again every day with this thing.
Another day, we are here. But yeah, so things looking good on the NFP print so far. Got a nice bullish print so far, and things have held. But we'll see what direction the market wants to pick as the open gets going.
Yeah, I mean,
here.
I always tell my friends that like aren't in the market, they're asking about it. I'm like, look, this stuff is simple. You get good news, it can be good news for the market. It can also be bad news for the market. You get bad news, it can be good news for the market. It can be bad news for the market. Today we got unemployment that was a little bit hotter than expected. I think
higher.
for a lot of people. I think for a lot of people, you think, or wait, sorry, no, it actually came in. It came in at 4.2, and we were expecting 4.1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, unemployment a little bit higher than expected. I think to the average person, they say, hey, that's not great for the economy, not great for the market, but the market's in the green anyway. It's simple stuff, really. You never really know if it's going to be good news is good news or bad news is bad news. But I think right here, what you're seeing is that with the slightly elevated unemployment level, we've seen it creep higher from about 3.5% to over 4% now. It increases the odds that the Fed is going to cut 25 basis points, potentially even more on further out there. And then, if you have this environment where stocks are already at all-time highs, and then you're talking about the Fed cutting rates, it's hard to get bearish, Jordan. I don't really know,
100%.
I don't know what the like bear argument really is here right now. I know you hear some people out there saying inflation's going to come back and get worse again and all this stuff, but like we're not dealing with that right now. What we're dealing with right now is a market that's hitting new all-time highs, the Fed potentially cutting rates. So I'm going to invest based off that until I see differently, that whether it be inflation rising, whether it be unemployment really jumping higher to a level that would be problematic. But right now, again, that's not the environment we're really dealing with.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. And it's like, we can have maybe all these economic data points that might have a bearish thesis towards it, but like either way, what has the price action done all year?
Right.
We've had plenty of bad news all year long, and market is just continuing to rip to the upside. So to me, it's like, okay, am I always in the back of my head ready for that reversal, ready for the market to turn around? I am. Like, I would love for the market to actually turn around right now. It'd be nice, right? But at the end of the day, price action's not showing that. Price action shows higher highs, higher lows, momentum on every dip getting bought up, right? So until that actually changes, until I see the market structure actually shift and be in line with the fundamental thesis and data coming out, bearish data, whatever that may be, it has to all line up, right? And price action is just not lining up with any of that. So even when there's bad news, lately I just haven't cared about news whatsoever, because price action is always going to do what it wants to do. The market doesn't care about us, right? Doesn't care about us, anybody else, doesn't care about the data coming out. It's going to react in a certain way, and we have to play off of that, whether it's positive reaction, negative reaction, whatever it may be. So I think the best thing we can do at the end of the day is just show up, play the price action that's in front of us, and do our best to capitalize on the moves that are coming. Interesting setup on this SUI. I was looking at this morning in crypto, but SUI looking to break out, hopefully hit that $5. I was looking at this trend looks strong, higher highs, higher lows. We're seeing momentum, and then that little consolidation break, relaxation period that these names need, and then we're getting right back off to the run here, right back into that resistance, about $4 there. So interested to see if this can go to $5. To me, I mean, trends looking strong. I'm not super familiar with this name, but I was looking at it this morning and things look pretty healthy. So until I see again a market structure change here, I think things are looking good for that $5 potentially. But any thoughts from you, Aaron?
I mean, look, the chart's looking good. I mean, it's going up. You've got some good levels there to look for. If I were looking at this right now, I mean, I'd definitely want to hold above that previous high a little bit, because then if you dip below that, it could start looking a little double toppy if it reversed like right here right now. But again, like if you're above that $3.80 level, stocks, cryptos, whatever it is, if you're buying at all-time highs, it's kind of counterintuitive because you want to buy low and sell high, but a lot of times buying at all-time highs works out because they'll continue to run for a little bit. So it just depends on, I guess, your time horizon, what you're trying to do with this. But looking at the chart, I would take a stab at this to the long side, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, opening up this morning on it, I'm just looking on my own chart. We did pop up and reject yesterday's highs. So I'm looking to see if we can't really get above that. We might take a dip back down to the previous highs, which is around just under that $4, $3.94. So, if I was looking to get long, that would probably be a spot. I can't say that I will be, but if I was, that would kind of be the spot I'm looking at. But of course, like you say, breaking out, I don't particularly like to buy on breakouts, but sometimes, you got to buy high for it to go higher. That's a saying that I started to hear more and more as I got into the community early on, and it's like, okay, we want to buy low and sell high, but sometimes you don't have the opportunity to do that. Sometimes you got to hop on the trend that's there and buy high just to sell it a little bit higher, right?
That's one of those things you hear from a lot of smart people that have been in the industry for a while. They're like, I'm not dumpster diving. I'm not buying these stocks that are down 80%. You buy high because those stocks are high for a reason, and then you sell a little bit higher. But before we move on, Jordan, I just wanted to ask about that crypto. I mean, does it worry you if you're buying some of these other cryptos right now, the fact that we did have Bitcoin kind of reject that $100,000 level? Like, my thing is, I'm just thinking about, could there be some kind of win taken out of the sales of this crypto rally if Bitcoin fails to really continue moving past that 100,000? Because I feel like when you're talking about all these other cryptos, meme coins, whatever it is, it all kind of starts and ends with Bitcoin. And right now we've seen Bitcoin be maybe just a tiny bit sleepier over the past week or so, a couple weeks than some people would have hoped.
Yeah, no, I agree. You gotta, like you say, Bitcoin is the main head of the horse, right? Or the main head of the fleet, I guess you could say. So if Bitcoin starts pulling back and starts resting, like I expect all the other altcoins and everything else to definitely do the same, if not pull back harder, right? I mean, if we saw a 10% pullback in Bitcoin, like right now, I'm expecting a lot of those altcoins to get screwed really hard, right? So that's where you definitely got to be careful. And my whole thought process is if I am investing in crypto, I'm gonna stay with the main dogs, at the head of the fleet, the Bitcoin, the Ethereums, and I'm not really gonna screw around too much with any of the altcoins, just because I know what can happen if Bitcoin does pull back, and these probably take a way bigger hit than Bitcoin or Ethereum will. So that's where I have a big hesitation into invest like to any altcoins. If I'm gonna do it, I gotta be on the main guys. But still, it doesn't mean there's not opportunity, right? To trade that might be for an investment, but there's always trades out there, right? And with these altcoins, I definitely think there's a lot of opportunity lately with meme coins running and just all the volatility in crypto. There's so much opportunity to trade it. So obviously, I'm not looking to invest my hard-earned money into some crazy altcoin, but there's no doubt that there's opportunity to make some money there on the
Oh
short
yeah.
term.
Oh
So
yeah.
I think that's great for people, and if you're willing to take that risk and educate yourself on that side of trading, I think it's worth it, right? You can absolutely make some money, and I think it just depends on what you prefer to trade in markets. That's really what it comes down to with all types of investing. I think whether you're short term, long term, options trader, futures trader, crypto, it's like whatever works the best for you, I think is what you should be doing, right? So moving on to Roblox, breaking out of this big area. I mean, this thing has just gone sideways over and over and over, but we're finally getting some volume, some volatility breaking us out. I have some levels that I'm personally looking at that I've picked out just from the monthly. So there's not a lot of them, but these are some big levels that I would watch out for if you're trading Roblox. I got 60.50 on my chart. We got 63.83, 69.77, and 73.71. Those are all levels from the monthly chart. Those are just big spots I see for potential rejection. So if you're long, right, you're wanting to see us power through these levels like butter, right? If we get to that 60.50, you want to see a break and base over that, hold that level. If you get that, I think you're able to see that 63.83, right? But if you get over that 60.50, later in the day, see rejection, we come back down and close under it, that's where I'd be a little more hesitant. So definitely keep an eye on those. Those levels are definitely a lot bigger, and it's going to take a lot more time to get through them and go to the next one, obviously, because they are on the monthly chart. But I think they're big levels to watch out for. So keep an eye on that for sure. Any thoughts from Roblox?
I mean, just from the, I'll give kind of more of a fundamental outlook. You gave the technical analysis there, great, Jordan. But I mean, from the fundamental level, like Roblox has a huge user base. You're talking like a ridiculous amount of daily active users, stuff like that. The market does care about, but at the end of the day, it's about making money. And a lot of Roblox's user base is younger kids that don't have money to spend. So it becomes one of those stocks that's like actually kind of hard for the market to value, because they're like, okay, well, they've got 50 million people on their platform daily, but how many of these people are actually spending money? And it's like, okay, well, some of these people will turn into paying customers long term, but not right now. So Roblox is one of those stocks that, like, when it's low, I'm like, there's value here because they have such a big user base. And then once it gets a little higher, I'm like, this thing's overvalued because their user base isn't spending money. So I'm like a Roblox, like I'm like, it's got to be in a specific zone for me. If it gets too hot, too high, I'm like, I can't buy this. If it gets too low, I'm like, this is interesting. So I'm kind of agnostic on Roblox. I'm like neutral long term, I suppose.
Absolutely, yeah, I get you. Not a name I trade as often anymore. I used to trade it a lot, options and such, but
Oh yeah,
not really been
2020,
touching it so much.
2021.
Yeah, right. That was the prime
Kathy
time.
Wood, the Kathy Wood days. Those were, if you weren't trading Roblox, you weren't living back then.
I know, right? No, it was a lot of fun back then, but gosh, I can't say I've really traded it since then. So market been open for 11 minutes now. Things are still chugging to the upside from NFP. I'm keeping my eye on SPY cues. Just looking at SPY right now. We're about to test yesterday's high into that 608.50. So market's loving it. Again, whether or not that data was potentially bearish, potentially bullish, doesn't matter. What's the market doing? The market is literally candlesticks in the chart is how the market is talking to us, right? So in my opinion, again, it just goes back to I could care less what data comes out and what it means, because what's the reaction of the market? That's what I care about, right? It just doesn't matter what the data means, because we know the market can react either way, right? So playing off price action here, best thing you can do. I'm not in any positions personally yet, but keeping an eye on things coming up to yesterday's highs. Anything you're looking at in specific right now, Aaron? Any individual names that you're looking to maybe get into, or are you just kind of hanging out, watching the open?
Yeah, I mean, so I've been in Lulu for a while, and we already talked about Lulu, but I was buying that while it was, I mean, Lulu had just gotten crushed. I mean, went
Mm-hmm.
down from, pulling up my charts right here, went from like 480 all the way down to below 250, got down to like 225. And I started buying around like the 275 level. So a lot of times, Jordan, when I'm building positions in stocks like that, it's like a company I like that I think will do well long term that's been beaten down. But these earnings reports are like not only about the price action, but like gives me now confidence that okay, like this, like Lulu is turning things around. You can see it in the numbers. It's not just
Exactly.
like it's not just like a vibes or feeling thing anymore. So like the earnings reports, they're fun to talk about from the sense of like okay, this stock's up 10%, down 20%, whatever it is. The move in itself is exciting and great, but a lot of times there's like more insights, and even sometimes you'll see like a stock get hit on earnings, but then if you go through it, you're like, this was a great quarter and the company's growing. Like, I don't
It's
understand
usually
why
a
they're
buying opportunity.
right. So, like watching some of these stocks that have earnings today, like Lulu, we mentioned Uber was down on that Waymo news. So I do have a little bit of Uber and Lyft. So portfolio is a little bit more flat today because of that.
Hmm.
But just looking at the overall market, I mean, like you mentioned, like the SPY's just chugging along, just
It
making
just
new
doesn't
all.
care, man. It
No,
doesn't
it's like
care.
$1, $2 a day. It's like, unemployment higher than expected. Okay, fine, we're still gonna go up. New war breaks out. Okay, fine, we're still gonna go up. Like it doesn't matter. It feels like with this overall market, and I hear the people out there that are like bearish, and they're like, the S&P 500 is up 35% in the last year. That's not sustainable. And I'm like, okay, I agree. We can't go up 35% every year, but for
No.
right now, we're dealing what we're dealing with, and it's a market that keeps going up. So I'm not gonna hop in here and try to short it just because we can't keep going up 35% every year. Because right now it seems like we can, and until it proves me wrong, then that's how I'm gonna trade it.
Yeah, I mean, hey, to those people that can't grasp that we've been in a bull market, I would just invert your chart and play it that way. Honestly, just invert your
Yeah.
chart and do that. I mean, then
Then
it's
you
a
keep
bear market
shorting.
like
Then
you
you would
want.
keep shorting if you
Yeah.
yeah.
That's totally fine. I don't think that's a problem at all. But no, just back to what you were saying about Lulu and Ulta. I'm also a long-term holder of them. I've been buying while they've been in the dumps as well, and love to see the earnings. I was kind of deciding whether or not I was going to sell those positions for tax loss harvesting or not into the end of the year, and it looks like I'm going to keep them because I'm now in the green and looking good. So, yeah, I'm going to hang on to them for now. Obviously, earnings report was pretty solid. I need to go through the Ulta earnings call still personally, um, but things looking good. So I'm happy with it. Want to continue to see the upside, but I mean, I'm not really in the clear yet for anything. I'm just happy that I'm not selling it into the end of the year, at least as of now. So happy to keep that. We'll see how she does into the new year. Again, those are names that I like to pick up on the dips. It's just like it's so hard for me to not when the makeup business is what it is, and the consumers of the makeup business are the biggest consumers of the world. It just makes sense to me to own some of the stock at the prices we were at. But obviously for the future, we'll see, right? And that's why listen to the females in your life, guys. They might give you some tips on what's to come in the retail sector specifically, right? I'm always keeping my ears open for that. But look at this market, just ripping. Gosh, this market does not stop. It is continuing to the upside. We got NQ hitting yesterday's high here. I would watch for any draws of liquidity over yesterday's highs potentially. Obviously, you got to follow the trend here and what's happening. But if we were to pop over yesterday's highs and then get some selling and lose that high from yesterday, to me, that's telling us we're seeing a draw of liquidity. We know, if you guys know liquidity sweeps, I mean, liquidity sweeps can only happen above highs and below lows, right? So if we see that type of price action, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a little bit of downside there. But obviously, I'm not fighting this momentum here. We are over yesterday's highs here, and if we're holding that, there's no reason to short this market whatsoever. But of course, like we were saying, I'm not at all bearish on this market, but I'm happy to take some short term, bearish trades. I did it yesterday, right? Scalped some shorts. So it's all time frame relative again, right? In my swings, you can't catch me going short in my swings right now. I literally will not swing short this market, but futures I can do that all day, right? So it just depends on your time frame and what type of style of trading you're doing. But look at this, we're looking strong over yesterday's highs. I have no reason to be hopping in shorts in this market quite yet until I get, as you guys know, if you follow my strategy on CBC, whether or not if we get a CBC flip to the downside. If we get that, maybe I can look for shorts. Until then, it's all momentum upside, and you got to ride the trend. So that's what we got for me. Oil's quiet,
Yeah, well,
rusty,
so
moving.
Jordan, you mentioned buying some of these stocks on the dips and potentially tax loss harvesting. What about, I'm gonna throw a stock out there. I'm curious about your thoughts on this one.
Yeah.
In general, from the technical perspective, the dip of all dips, the stock that can only dip and never rip, and I'm talking about Boeing here.
Oh, I knew you were gonna say Boeing.
You knew I was gonna say Boeing. I mean, at what point does this get interesting? Are we brave enough to buy Boeing? Are we brave enough to fly on a Boeing? I feel like we haven't heard. Here's the thing. I don't know what's going on with the company. I haven't seen any headlines about any wheels falling off, windshields cracking, doors falling off the plane mid-flight. I feel like that's got to be a bullish sign.
I agree. In the fact that, I mean, you remember kind of more towards the beginning of this year. I mean, every week it felt like we heard about something, a wheel falling
it was
off,
every
the
day.
door coming off. I mean, yeah, it was just ridiculous. So definitely, I mean, just not having that is a little bullish for me for sure. At the end of the day, I actually just sold my Boeing for a loss, tax loss harvesting. I am looking to buy it back in the new year. So I am looking to own it again, definitely at a cheaper price, but overall it's so tough. This name is getting beaten every time we try and catch a bid. It seems that it doesn't want to follow through and get sold off. Right now we're doing the same thing we've done over and over. I'm just on a weekly chart looking at my 9 and 21 EMAs, and we've popped up and kind of just ridden this 21 EMA on the weekly over and over, and we're right back to it. Made lower highs, lower lows over and over. So until I see that market structure actually shift and hopefully get some. See, this is where I need real catalysts, right? As a day trader, for the most part, yeah, if there's a catalyst, great, but I can just play on the price action. But for a name like this, right, I need to see the price action market structure change for one, and I also need to see some good headlines, some good catalysts coming out for Boeing that actually excite me to own the stock. Because I mean, lately it's been boring. It just, you don't even want to own it lately. So to me, lately it's been more of a trader, right? There's been more opportunity to actually day trade and swing trade it rather than invest and hold this long term. So I think it's a tough hold right now, but overall it is a name that I want to still be in long term, and I want to be participating in. It's just it's tough to say right now whether or not we break higher or break lower. We are still trying to make higher lows from these previous lows that we've made, and we're holding that area. But what's to say we can't fall through that and go test more towards that $100 again, right? There's really nothing saying that we can't do that. So unless bulls hold us up around this 150, 160 area, but I need to see more with Boeing. I need to see more catalysts, more positive price action until I really get excited. But it is a name I believe in. I mean, on the contrary, right? When just to speak about Boeing positively, it's like Boeing not only creates a lot of parts for planes, but it's also parts for virtually everything. I mean, my buddies, I have plenty of friends that are mechanics. They all order everything from Boeing, right? So knowing that, it's hard for me to not want to own it, knowing that they're at the heart of pretty much everything. So it's definitely a name I still want to be in, but it's tough. It's tough at these prices. But yeah, that's really my thoughts on Boeing.
They've got a duopoly at the end of the day, which is always going to help when you don't have that much competition. And I mean, at the end of the day, I think about all the times I fly, the majority of the time it's on a Boeing. I never actually really feel unsafe. You joke about it, there was that.
We joke about it, but I've never felt unsafe on a Boeing ever.
And there was that stretch where it seemed like every day there was a negative headline. You do have another headline this morning that a court rejects Boeing plea deal in the 737 MAX crashes, citing concerns with Justice Department's DEI policy. So maybe a not great headline there that the court is rejecting the Boeing plea deal. But again, like we're talking about, like it's still up 1%. Like it's kind of like the overall market, where even in the face of these kind of bad headlines, which actually, Jordan, for a lot of stocks, that's like a big buying opportunity or big buying sign, a signal for me, is if you start seeing negative headlines on a stock, but the stock doesn't go down on those headlines, it's usually because it's been priced in. The stock is priced at a level where even in the face of bad news, there's still enough value there that will like keep the price of it propped up. So,
well, especially if the past bad news, like the most minor bad news, has rugged the stock to new lows, it's like then we're getting like decently bad news and we're holding now and we're going up, right? I agree. That's a bit of a tell for me as well.
Yeah.
So
And you
maybe
can
we
use
see
that
some
same
turnaround.
logic. You can use that same logic with the overall market. I remember there was a time a couple years ago, like when we had the big tech downturn in 2020, and it was like everything. It was like every single company that was reporting earnings. The earnings were bad. Inflation was, every inflation print we got was like super high. The Russia-Ukraine war was like heating up and all that stuff. And I was like, there can't be any worse news out there. Like everything we get everything we were getting right now is a very negative headline. And eventually it hit a point where the market stopped going down on it. And I was like, this is my buying opportunity. And it ended up being a very good time to buy, because I was just like, there's no headline that could come out right now that would be worse than what we've been getting.
Exactly, yeah.
And the market would like stop, I don't know what the final, like we got what, 25% drawback in like the Qs and something like that.
Yeah, something like that. It was ridiculous. I don't exactly remember, but
I mean,
yeah,
you had
probably
specific stocks. You
close.
had Netflix, which went down over 80%. You had Meta, which was down over 80%. Which, looking back on now, it's like I could have gotten Meta at $100, or I could have gotten Netflix at 150, and it's like those things come back pretty quickly when they come back.
Absolutely. It's all about, is this a good company for the long term? Do I actually believe in this, right? And if you do, it's like, if it's on a dip, that's just a sale for me. But it's funny about Boeing. Like towards the beginning of the year, it got to the point where there were so many headlines that I started thinking, I'm like, dude, like somebody, like this is not real. Like, you know what I mean? This is a setup. It got to a point where I'm thinking like, dude, they're setting all of this up, and like this is all, I don't know, propaganda or whatever, because how can there be this many bad headlines over and over? But it's
with Boeing, you're talking about?
Yeah, with Boeing, I just got to the point where I'm like, dude, is this even real, or is somebody joshing us? Like, what is going on? This makes no sense.
I think part of what happened was, so you had like the door blow off, which that was like a big deal, and was like, that was kind of like what kickstarted a lot of the actual like flight problems. And then I think what happened was you had a bunch of things, because think about how many flights there are a day. I don't know how many flights there are a day.
I mean, I'm sure problems happen all the time, but I feel like that got all the eyes on there, and they're like, okay, we need to watch Boeing now. Yeah, and so now they see every little thing.
So then, like when they started having problems on the flights that are probably pretty common and happen all the time, they got airtime on CNBC. They got headlines in the Wall Street Journal because it was after the door blow off. So it became this thing where like the media was more focused on this and like talking about all these things, which probably again happen all the time and are like little minor inconveniences, whatever.
But now it's this big deal since their door blew off, and now everybody's looking at Boeing, right? So they're seeing all these headlines.
Everyone was fine. Everyone was fine on the phone when the door blew off.
That's another thing. I remember when that happened, and I was like, okay, don't get me wrong. Like if a door blew off while I'm in a plane, that's wild for sure. But nobody got hurt. Nobody died. Everybody was fine. And we just saw stock just rug, and it was rough. So very interesting. It just goes to show that, like, the reaction of these headlines and what investors are thinking. It's very important, right? And no matter the headline, that could have been, they could have, I bet you, I mean, this is the market we live in. I very easily could have seen those headlines come out and watch Boeing rip at the same time. That's what's funny about this market. It's like, yeah, that's horrible news. And it went the way of the news, the way the sentiment of the news was going this time. But that's just what's so funny about the market, and what goes to show you got to follow that price action and the reaction of these news events. Because I so easily could have seen Boeing rip off news like that. We've seen it before. I mean, look at the whole market off war news this whole year, just ripping. It's like the same premise there. So super interesting stuff. I know we're coming into the hour here and going to wrap things up, but Aaron, I appreciate you joining me this morning. Do you have any last thoughts? Any tickers you want the crew to be looking at today, or any last thoughts for the market?
No, I was looking through some of the movers, just making sure we didn't miss any like huge gainers or losers. It looks like we hit a lot of the big ones. I'm seeing Lulu and Ulta as the top gainers right now, at least. When you put in a certain market cap threshold, obviously you're always going to have those little penny stocks that are up 100, 200%. I try not to give those too much attention. They're fun if you're in them, but you can get burned by them. So just looking at like the bigger, big mega cap tech stocks and whatnot. I mean, again, pretty strong day. Positive reaction to that to the non-farm payroll, so that's good to see. Not a lot of huge losers this morning, which is always nice. I mean, you're looking at all major indices in the green: the Dow, the S&P 500, the Nasdaq, even the Russell 2000 up about 0.7% here. So pretty good Friday so far. A lot of times the market ends the week on either the highs or the lows of the week. So it looks like right now, knock on wood, looks like we're trending toward ending on the high of the week, which is always fun. Good little send off into the weekend, Jordan. If the market and your portfolio is at all time highs. But
Oh, I'm loving it.
Again, thank you for having me on today. Thank you for everyone who tuned in. I'm working on getting a better microphone and headset and stuff, so hopefully
no worries.
again in the future, Jordan, we're gonna have a little bit better audio quality. But overall, I mean, it was great to hang out with you.
Absolutely, brother. Well, everybody have a great day trading. Stay safe, play your plan, and we'll see everybody bright and early on Monday morning for some more daily rips. So enjoy, guys. Have a great weekend. We'll see you then.
Hell yeah. Thank you, guys.
All right. Good stuff.